Welcome, grade 10 mindsetters. I know you've all been
grade
waiting. This is Hayley, and Hayley will be taking today's maths lit lesson. And today we'll be talking about
ratio and proportion.
Yeah, ratios and proportions. So guys, if you have any questions regarding ratios and proportions, get them into our Facebook page right now, and that's facebook.com/learnextra. Also chat to us on our Twitter handle, that's @learnextra, and that's an XTRA. Guys, before we take a quick break, I just want to say that I love the fact that you guys are helping each other out on the page, and that's exactly what we want. And we're also going through a question from last week. Let's see if any of you guys got the answer right. So, with further ado, let's go to a break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I know that you're all excited for an amazing lesson. Welcome, Valapi. You're watching. So glad you're tuning in. Guys, don't forget to chat to me on the page while Hayley's going through concepts. Let me know if you're not understanding, and then I'll say, hey, Hayley, they're not understanding. And we can go over it again and work through it until we all understand. And guys, don't forget, if somebody posts a question onto the Facebook page and you know the answer, answer it. I think it's awesome. Hayley, take it away.
Hi grade 10s, welcome to today's session. Today we're going to be dealing with ratio and proportion. But before we do that, I just want to ask Indy, what are our numbers today, Indy?
Well, our numbers are pretty amazing today, Hayley. Are you ready for it? Since when you were last year, we were in the 5,000s. Today, we have 6,189 mindsetters on the Facebook page.
Okay, that's great, Indy. It's so good to hear that so many of you out there are actually contacting us via Facebook. We're going to carry on looking at this number because this is a huge number in our lives at the moment. So we're going to carry on looking at this number and encourage your friends so that we can actually increase that number. Right, let's get back to today's lesson. Ratio and proportion. What are we going to be covering? Well, we're going to be covering ratio, and then we're going to be covering proportion. And we're going to see what's the difference between the two and how they work. Before I carry on, we've posted a challenge question for you on Facebook. So let's read through the question, and then we will discuss it later on in the show with the answers. So Tabala also needs to buy tea bags. Tea bags come in 4 different size boxes. So we've got 4 different size boxes. We've got 62.5 grams for R6.29, 125 grams for R15.49, 250 grams for R18.49, 500 grams for R38.89, and we want to know which size box is the best buy. So guys, I want you to carry on posting. I hope that they're posting, Indy, and we can look at the answers in a couple of moments. While we're discussing challenge questions though, last week you asked us, going the wrong way, last week you asked us for a hard challenge question when we were busy with BODMAS. So we posted this that looks absolutely terrible, but it definitely answers the tick of hard. So we posted this, and we're now going to look at the answers. Indy, how did our post go? Do we remember any of the
Well,
answers?
what happened was, last week we posted it onto the Facebook page. We did have a whole bunch of answers, but now obviously because everyone's been chatting, so it's kind of been lost on our page. So what I've done for you guys now is that I've reposted it, so it should show up at the top of your feed. Your phone should be beeping saying, Mindset's talking to you. So yeah, guys, I know that there's a whole bunch of you that have answered the question. You're all jumping up and down, so now's the time to see if you got the right answer.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the solution. So first of all, remember we were dealing with BODMAS last week. So BODMAS was, what is BODMAS? It was brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So I'm going to take this whole horrible looking sum and I'm going to break it down into portions. So I'm going to start with the top numbers, and I'm going to look at my brackets. So the first bracket, I've got 7 plus 2 divided by half. I need to divide before I add. So 2 divided by half is actually 4. It's the same as saying 2 times 2. And then I'm going to say, well, plus my 7, that gave me 11. And that's my one bracket. Then I'm going to do the second bracket, which is 12 minus 2. And the answer to that is 10. Right, now I'm going to carry on with the sum, and I'm just going to be doing the top at the moment. I'm looking for multiplications. 5 times 6 is 30. Now I want to carry on and I'm going to divide next. So 30 divided by 10 is actually 3. And here we've got a plus, so now I've got 11 plus 3 is, let's write it here, 14. And I'm going to leave it as a number on the top. Let's now try work out the bottom. Now we've got no brackets. So my first thing I'm looking for is, I'm going to do my multiplication. So 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 4 is 8. 10 divided by a quarter is the same as saying 10 times 4, so that is actually 40. Now I can add the 1 and the 8. So I've got 40 plus 8 plus 1 is 49. And I can leave my answer like that, or I can simplify it if I need to, but that solves this. Let's try simplify it. We can divide both by 7, so 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 49 divided by 7 is 7. So the complete simplified solution would be 2 out of 7. Okay. I hope that when you did this challenge question and when you gave Indy all your answers on Facebook, that you actually didn't use your calculators. But now, let's see what today's lesson is all about. Right. So starting off with ratio. A ratio is a wonderful thing. It's a comparison of two numbers. Ratio can be written in 3 different ways. We can write it in words. So let's think about a ratio of, say, boys to girls. So I can have my ratio of boys to girls. And I'm looking at the relationship of these two things, the boys and the girls. I can write it as a colon, with boys to girls. And I can write it as a fraction. Now the fraction and the colon make a whole lot more sense if we actually use numbers. So rather than using the boys to girls, let's have a quick example. Let's say there were 3 boys to every 2 girls. And then with my colon, I've got 3 boys to 2 girls. And finally, as a fraction, let's extend the page a little bit, I've got 3 boys to 2 girls. And what's so nice about the fact that I write it as a fraction is now I can actually work with it as if it was a fraction. I can also change the ratio a little bit and say, well, okay, how many girls are there to boys? And I can say, well, there are 2 girls to every 3 boys. So I can actually, now that disappeared, I can actually manipulate it a little bit by changing the direction of my fraction and my numerator and denominator. And now I can manipulate it as a fraction. Let's carry on and see what else we've got in store. Right, here we've got our boys. Right. Let's read the question. Let's change colour. So I think I need a little bit of pink in my life at the moment. What do you think, Indy?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Especially with the boys. In fact, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use 2 different colours. And this will help you when you read questions when you've got ratios. First of all, let's take a step backwards. You are not always going to realise that it's a ratio. And us examiners, we do horrible things like we don't tell you, oh, we're now doing a ratio. So I'm going to give you some tips and hints as to what you should look for. But as soon as you've got words where you've got 2 different values, like this question's looking at boys and girls, we can assume that it's probably a ratio. And I'm going to try use 2 different colours. So let's keep our boys, let's keep them in green. So suppose there are 18 boys and 15 girls in a class. The ratio of boys to girls can be written in words. Okay, I think we've done this. 18 boys to 15 girls. A colon, we can say 18 boys to 15 girls. In fact, I probably should have written this in green. Let's do that. And I can write it as a fraction. So I've got 18 boys to, major color, 15 girls. Okay, so that's just an example of how we can write it. I think I jumped the gun there a little bit. So what our next page has to offer, if we can do that. No, we've gone too far. Right. Now the definition of a proportion. When two ratios are equal, the four quantities are said to form a proportion. That means they're equal to each other. So we're looking at calculations. First of all, we need to identify the ratio. Trying to find, like our last example, we had two different values of boys and girls. Now I could actually have simplified it, or I could have carried on the question, which I will do in a few moments. So first of all, we identify the ratio. So our ratio was 18 to 15. And I should have put my boys as green. I should carry on with my boys in green. We need to find an equivalent ratio by multiplying or dividing one of the terms of the ratio. Now this sounds also very confusing, so I think we need to actually do an example and then check if it's equal. So let's find some space and let's look at this as an example. Indy, how's things on Facebook?
It's fantastic. Things are going. Monty says that he's joining us for the grade 10, but 11 and 12 as well. So Monty, stay stuck to your seat. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be a fab show. And everyone loved the question from last week. I remember Chris Bafana answered that question, and I don't see Chris Bafana on the page. So Chris, where are you? Guys, get those questions in. If there's anything you're not understanding that Haley's chatting about, let me know, and I'll ask her very kindly if she can please just stop and explain. But just try and let me know on the page where it is that you've gotten stuck and what exactly it is that you're not understanding. Help us make our job much easier. So Haley, I think let's carry on with the question.
Okay, so let's look back at our ratio, and I'm going to go back to writing, well, I had my 18 boys, and how many girls were there? There were 14 girls. Was it 14? Now I'm confused. 15.
You lost a girl along the way.
Lost the girl along the way, and I'm having a problem with the board today. Okay, so let's go back to this. We had 15. I didn't even have, right, 15 girls. Right, now let's assume, I can expand this. Right, let's assume I had 36 boys. My ratio is like that. So now let's look at, if I had 36 boys, how many girls? So that would be the kind of question that you're going to get in an exam. If we've got a ratio of 18 to 15, and we now have 36 boys in the class, how many girls? Or they might ask you how many in total. So let's look at both questions. When doing this, you will always see that you're kind of going to be given 3 pieces of information, and you're going to be asked to calculate the 4th. And that's what I want you to look at. So we have 3 pieces of information, and we're being asked to calculate the 4th, and then we know we're dealing with a ratio and a proportion, in this case a proportion. So we need to look at where it said, the instructions said, find an equivalent ratio by multiplying or dividing one of the terms of the ratio. What does that mean? Well, if I look at my 18, what did I do to this 18? Let's use this another color. What did I do to this 18 to get to 36? How did I move from 18 to 36? And what I can see here is that I multiplied it by 2. Okay? So if I take 18 and times by 2, I will get 36. If you're struggling to get the answer as to what you did, then what you can simply do is take the second number and divide it by the first, and you will get what we did.
Oh, I think it just flicked off the page.
Okay, and it disappeared.
Oh no.
Oh wait, we moved it here.
There the little guy is.
Oops.
I'll just
Let's
erase it and rewrite it.
Okay, our numbers are not cooperating. So my 36 is back. So what you can do, okay, so take your 36 and divide it by 18, and you'll see that that answer is 2, which means we times by 2. Now, remember I said to you, it could be like a fraction, and we can manipulate it like a fraction. What I do to the one side, I need to do to the other. So I'm going to take my 15, and I'm going to multiply it by 2. I think I'm in the wrong color, but okay, we'll live with it. So I take my 15 times by 2 will give me how many girls there should be. So 15 times by 2, well, that is 30. So in my class, there would be 36 boys and there would be 30 girls. Now, if they ask me for a total, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to add up the boys and the girls. So I'm going to say, well, okay, 36 plus 30, we've got in total, we've got 66 learners. 66 learners. That's a very big class.
Sure.
I'm glad I don't have to
Hope
teach 36.
I hope that there's a
66
really big classroom for those 66 learners.
Absolutely. I hope there's more than one
And
teacher
more than
for
one
the
teacher.
66 learners. Okay. Before we go to a break, because I think we should take a little bit of a break, I also want to discuss this 15 to 18, 18 to 15, and see if we can actually simplify that. I'm not sure what my board's doing today. Really having a little bit of fun. So let's extend that a little bit. I had my ratio of 18 to 15. Now I want to see if I can simplify it and make it the smallest. So now if I write it as a fraction, 18 over 15, how do I make it the smallest type of fraction it can be? Well, I'm going to, let's say, divide each side by, what can we divide by? We can divide by 3. I think 3 would work. And divide that side also by 3. Because if I divide both by 3, this is where the fraction comes in. And when you see we're manipulating a fraction. Because I can divide both by 3, I'm actually dividing by 1. I keep losing these things. Let's try and move it back. No, it's really not. Okay, I think we need to take a little bit of a break. Let's just finish this train of thought.
Let's take a break, guys. I think we should. It's totally okay. Guys, I'm loving that all of you are writing into our question that we posted earlier. Amu, Celestine, Tejo, Precious. Guys, keep those answers coming. I think it's fantastic that you are answering. Help each other out. Some of you find, and just remember, some of you find things easy and others may not find it as easy, but that's okay. That's when you can come in and actually help those mind setters. Learning more, learning extra is always awesome. We'll see you right after the break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you're all enjoying the show so far. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are. How's your day going? It's hot today in Joburg. I know that we've got lots of learners that are out there in Polokwane, Limpopo, the Free State. Hi to everyone from Mpoi High. If any of you guys are watching, let me know. I visited there last week and it was absolutely fab. Guys, don't forget, let me just tell you that we do have grade 12 IT materials coming out on Monday. So that's countdown time. It's all very exciting. So if you know anyone, please send them to our Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/learnextra. Also chat to us on Twitter @learnextra. And I think before it starts raining, because I can actually hear thunder and lightning, Hayley, let's take it away.
Hey, welcome back. I hope that we've got rid of the glitches on this board today, but you'll have to forgive me. I think it's probably the heat. Okay, so what we were doing, we were trying to get the simplest form of this ratio or this fraction. So we decided we'd divide by 3. Okay, so 18 divided by 3 is 6, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now, for those of you that are using a scientific calculator, I want to show you how to actually simplify your ratios, with the use of a calculator. Now remember, if you don't have a scientific calculator, it's not a necessity, and you will have to do it kind of the way I've just done it on the board. But if you do have the calculator, use your fraction button and just type in 18 divided by 15 and press equals. And your calculator actually gives you the answer in the simplest form. So 6 over 5, well, we know we've calculated it correctly, and that's just one way you can kind of test this ratio. Right, and this proportion. So let's go back to our notes and see where it takes us next. Right, our challenge question. How are the answers on our challenge question?
They're getting there, Hayley. There's quite a few, and I think that somebody has definitely got the answer, and I think they know who it is. So as soon as you're ready to tackle it, let me know.
Okay, let's go through the challenge question. So what I want to look at, right, we're looking at 4 different values and 4 different size packages. Now, we can't compare prices if we've got different sizes. So what we need to do is we need to actually look at the same value. So we can calculate each one and find out a price actually, let's get a pen here, and we can find out the cost, let's put it as cost per maybe 100 grams. So we could do a calculation for each one of these and work out how much it would cost per 100 grams. I'm going to show you one, and then I'm going to show you how we can actually, by reading our numbers carefully, we didn't have to do all that work. So but let's just go through one. So I want to, let's take my 62.5 grams, and the cost for that was R6.29. And I want to know how much is it going to cost me if I've got 100 grams. And there's my question mark. Now remember I said to you, well, what we do to this side, we need to do to that side. But we need to work out how we change 62.5 into 100. Earlier we were dealing with easy numbers of 18 and 36, but now these are a little bit harder numbers. So I'm going to say, well, do the reverse. Remember I said to you, you could take your 36 and divide by 18. Well, let's do that. So let's take another color, and we're going to times here by 100 over 62.5. Okay? And what we do to the one side, we do to the other. So times here by 100 and over 62.5. Just again, going to find a little bit more space on the board to show you why, well, okay, why we do that. If I've got 62.5 and I want to make it into 100, I need to times by 100 and get rid of that, so I divide by 62.5. So that's just the maths of showing you how it works. But we don't really need that. Okay, we just do the reverse and we do the same thing that side. So now let's find our calculator and do this calculator, if our calculator is going to work, and let's do this calculation. So it was, what was the number? It was R6.29. So we say R6.29. I'm going to times it by, and I can use my fraction button, and if you're using a non-scientific calculator, well then just times, press equals, and then divide, you should be fine. So we've got the calculator, let's use it, 100 over 62.5, and we get an answer of 10 Rand, 0.064 cents. So that is, let's find a pen here. Okay, it actually works out to, let's get rid of that, I need a pen again, I don't know where my pen went to, 10 Rand, 0.064. Now I've done a funny little thing there. I've actually kept 3 decimal places that I'm dealing with money. Now we know money is 2 decimal places. But because I'm comparing, I've decided rather let me keep this extra like 0.4 of a cent, just in case I need to compare it to the other values. It might be important, and I don't know that yet. So what's really important for you to remember is round off, but only round off at the very, very end, your last part of the question. Okay, so coming back to the question, we wanted to know which was the best bar. Now I've just worked out 100 grams for the 62.5 gram box. I can then work out 100 grams for each one of these. And I'm going to be doing quite a lot of calculations. Well, I'm going to be doing this calculation another 3 times. But if I look carefully at these numbers, what I notice about these numbers, from 62.5 to 125, I'm basically timesing by 2. From 125 to 250, I'm timesing by 2. From 250 to 500, I'm timesing by 2. So if I look at these numbers and see if I times this by 2, what happens? So let's try that at the moment, because the box is doubling. Let me see if the price is doubling. So I'm going to take the R6.29 one, and I'm going to times it by 2. So R6.29 times by 2, and I get an answer of 12.58 Rand. So let's go back to here, and I see that for that price, the pen was 12.58 Rand. Pen is not being selected. 12.58 Rand. So quite clearly I can see that the 625 one is actually cheaper than 125 because I'm paying 15 Rand for that. So I'm going to exclude this totally. I'm not even going to look at it any further because it is more expensive. Now let's try double this again to get the 250. So 12.58, I've still got that number, 12.58 times by 2, and I get an answer of 25.16 Rand. It's bigger than that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to actually exclude that. It was 25 Rand. So far this is looking the cheapest. And now let's compare this one times by 2. So now I've got 18.49 times by 2. Calculator. 18,49 neither. I'm glad that happened. We need to be careful when we're entering numbers on the calculator that we're actually entering what we want. It's so easy to make a mistake on the calculator, and then we get an answer and we think, but the calculator said so, therefore it must be true. Not always the case. So be careful and double check. So 1849 times by 2, and we get an answer of 36 Rand 98. 36 Rand 98 is cheaper than that. So which is our best bar? Let's find another color. This seems to be our best bar. Why is our best bar? It's our cheapest bar. So 250 gram is our cheapest. Indy, what did everyone else say?
Sure, we got so many amazing answers. Guys, if you're in Joburg, let us know. Is there a big storm happening? Because I can just hear thunder and lightning going on. Let me have a look quickly, Hayley. Just get me down to the question.
I'll get some water.
Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so let's have a look at our answers here. We had some really interesting ones. Let me read to what Sizwe had to say. Because everyone's saying, oh, well, the answer is 250 grams because Sizwe said so. So this is what Sizwe had to say. 250 grams because if you can buy 2 of 250, which will make 500, their price will be less than that of 38.89 for 500 grams.
Perfect.
So,
That's
yeah.
exactly right. Now, I was looking earlier and I saw one of your answers that I can't remember who it was. Somebody said 500 grams because it'll last longer.
Yes,
Now,
yes. That was Mono. Mono said, yeah.
Mono, I love that answer. We didn't say was it the best bar because it was cheapest. We said which was the best bar. Okay, so 500 grams that will last longer is an excellent, excellent answer. And this brings me to the most important fact about NatSlit. You need to be able to justify your answers. So you need to say why it is the best. And she was looking at how long it'll last, and especially if you've got a big family and everybody loves tea, well, you need a bigger box. Okay, it didn't say the cheapest. So I love that kind of answer. And I need you sometimes, guys, to be thinking like outside the box, not just, oh, well, this is the standard and what is expected of me. Okay, should we move on to something else?
Yeah. Should we go to an ad break, or do you want to carry on with the question?
Let's go for a quick ad break, and then we can go through to the questions.
Okay, fantastic. So guys, we're going to go for an ad break. Well done for everyone that answered the question and just for interacting with each other. I think it's so cool that there's a space on Facebook, on Learn Extra Live, that we can actually start to chat to each other and talk to each other and help each other out. Guys, so while we go to a quick break, and hope you're all keeping dry in this weather, yeah, we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. We're having a great show and a fantastic storm by what I can hear. I think what we need to do is just get straight to the question and carry on working. Hayley, back to you.
Thanks, Indy. Okay, let's start with question 1. Right, so we've got the following recipe serves 8 people, and Tina would like to serve 20 people. Now, remember earlier I said to you, you're not going to really recognize it as a ratio or proportion question, but you're going to be given 3 facts and be asked for the 4th. So I want to go through this and see, well, what facts do I know? So we've got a recipe now that serves 8 people. And I also said something about different colors. Well, let's do this. 8 people, and she wants to now serve 20 people. Those are 2 facts. So we've got 8 people, we want 20. And now this recipe is actually all catered for 8 people. So let's put it in a yellow box, because we know that the 8 people refers to this recipe. So those are my 3 pieces of information. I've got the number of people per recipe and how many people I want. And my guess is they're going to ask me how much ingredients I need for 20 people. So let's read the question. Well, it says, how many eggs does she need? There you go. So now my question with eggs is, how many eggs does she need is now related to the 20 people. So I want you to work out, what do we know? So we know that 8 people need 2 eggs. 8 people need 2 eggs. So my question is, if I've got 20 people, how many eggs do I need? So now what do I do from 8 to get to 20? Well, I'm going to times it by 20 over 8. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the side. I'm going to times it by 20 over 8. So do we need our calculators for this? Well, let's take our calculators out because we have them. And I always like to tell my kids, use the calculator, you've got it. So rather than trying to work out something in your head that you know you can do and your teachers probably know you can do, you know what, use the calculator, it's there for you. So we're going to take our 2 eggs and times by our fraction, which is 20 over 8, and we see that we need 5 eggs to make 20 recipes. So let's go back to here, and we need 5 eggs. And we're using pink for that. We need 5. Yep, never chose the pink. Let's try that again. I need 5 eggs. Indy, you know, I had a really interesting lesson once with these eggs. Okay?
Yes.
And it just brings back some memories because I was doing a similar example with a class and we ended up with needing half an egg. Now, would you imagine being able to use half an egg? And I said to them, but you know, in reality, you can't have half an egg, so you need to round up or you need to round down. Problem was, in my class, I had somebody whose mother was a baker.
Oh, obviously.
And he said to me, no, quite honestly, you can have half an egg because it's 60 grams for 1 egg, and then you just have 30 grams, well, that's half an egg. So you can actually, because they bake and they use so many eggs, that they actually measure them out when they're baking on big quantities. So
That's
it
incredible.
always reminds me when I get a question about eggs, that sometimes you
have
can
an
have
egg.
half an egg.
You can have half an egg mindset.
And I've got a dog that would eat the other half only with pleasure. Okay, next question says, how much cake flour does she need? Well, let's go back to the question. How much cake flour did we have in the beginning? 250 grams. So I don't think I need to write the whole thing out again because I know that I've taken my eggs and times by 20 over 8. So let's do the same thing here. Let's now, we'll use a totally random color. So I take my 250 grams that we needed, that we had for 8, and I'm going to times it by 20 over 8. And let's see if I can get an answer for that. My calculator is there and it is working. And I can actually go into my calculation and just delete the 2 because I've already got my fraction set up. And let's make that 250 and get an answer, 625. So I need a color. So we need 625 grams. Okay, and finally, was there another part of this question? I think there was. Let's extend the page a little bit. If 250 ml of water is equal to 1 cup, how many cups of water does she need for 20 people? Now, this is 4 marks. Kind of gives me the understanding or the idea that they're asking me a little bit more than just a simple ratio. Maybe there's a little bit more calculation. So I'm going to read the question again. 250 ml is equal to 1 cup. So they actually want to know how many cups she needs for 20 people. Well, first I'm going to have to work out how much water she needs for 20 people. So let's go back to the recipe, and the recipe said 500 ml of water. So I take my 500 ml of water, and I can do 2 things right now. I can calculate how much water I need for 20 people, or I can actually convert that into cups and then calculate how many cups I need for 20 people. So let's convert at the end. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to times by my 20 over 8. And on my calculator, I've got my fraction there already. So let's go in and delete that and see what 500 moles is. Make sure I've got that correct. And I need 1,250. Now for each one of those, I need 250 is 1 cup. So I'm going to divide that by 250 to get how many cups. And I see that I need 5 cups. So I hope that you followed that train of thought and I didn't go too fast. So we need 5 cups. I actually need to write in all my working. I was a little bit lazy here and I didn't do that. We actually had 1,250 moles. And that is equal to 5 cups. I could have converted this first, 500 moles, divided that by 250 and got an answer of 2 and then done the calculation and we would have ended up with the same answer of our 5 cups. Hey, let's see what else is part of our recipe. Right. Guess our recipe is finished because we're now on question 2.
Is it done? I've got a question here on the page. It's Zandile Z. Let's see if maybe, instead of saying, I think it was one of the questions up towards the top, it said, Instead of saying 18 times 2 equals 36 and multiplying 15 by 2, can't you do it like this? And then she says 36 divided by 18 times 15. The answer turns out to be the same.
I said that you can do that.
Yeah.
I just had worked out the 2 first, but in
Okay.
fact, if she's watching now, that's exactly what I'm doing
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
yes, you definitely
okay.
can
I see,
do that.
I see. Okay,
Okay.
well, there you go, Zandile.
Zandile, let's see what question 2 has in store for us. Okay, this is a nice question with 6 marks. How are we doing with that? Let's first read our question. So, 1 bag of cat food is 2 kilograms. So I'm kind of just underlining numbers now, and in a second I'm going to check if we've got a ratio, and I'm going to maybe change colors so that use your highlighters, use your colored pens. It makes it easier for you to see what's needed. If 4 cats eat 400 grams of cat food each day, how many bags of cat food do we need for 30 days? So 4 cats, 400 grams, how much bags do they need for 30 days? And at the moment, I know most of you are going, oh, it's a story sum, and I don't know about the story sum, and I don't understand it, and I don't know where to start. So what I want you to do, first of all, whenever you see a sum like this, don't panic. That's the first thing. Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Okay? We're going to take it one step at a time, and hopefully by small steps and little small bite-sized chunks, I can't speak today, we will actually accomplish and get the answer to the question. So 1 bag of cat food is 2 kilograms. 4 cats eat 400 grams each a day. So first let's work out how much cat food the cats eat in a day. So we've got 4 cats, and each cat eats, so we've got 1 cat that eats 400 grams. Right, so 4 cats eat 400 grams of cat food each a day. 1 cat eats 400 grams. 4 cats will then eat, we're going to, what did we do? We went from 1 to 4, we times by 4. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to times by 4. Can you see that I had a ratio? Maybe I should try some different colors. Right, we had our 400 grams was for 1 cat. And now we're looking at, I'll just underline it, 4 cats. I'm going to times it by 4, and we get 1,600 grams of cat food. So that is the amount of cat food that we need per day. 1 bag of cat food is 2 kilograms. Now I can't work in kilograms and in grams. There's something wrong with that. So we need to convert one to the other. So and this is per day. We need 1,600 grams per day. How's my handwriting sideways? 1 bag is 2 kilograms, so I'm going to change that 2 kilograms into 2,000 grams. Right. But before I can tell you how much I need for the month or how many bags, I'm going to work out how much I need in 30 days. So if that's per day, let's times this by 30 to get an answer of what we need per month. So I've got 1,600 grams times by 30. And in actual fact, quite right now, I'm noticing that it probably is easier for me to work in kilograms rather than grams. And we can go back to that. So we need 48,000 grams for the month. I'm going to actually convert that to kilograms. I'm going to divide by 1,000 and get rid of my zeros. I need 48 kilograms. If 1 bag is 2 kilograms, let's keep that as 2 kilograms. I can divide that by 2 to see how many bags I need in a day. And we'll see that if we divide that by 2, well, let's go back into our calculator. We can just divide that by 1,000 to get the kilograms, and divide by 2, we see that it's 24 bags are needed for the cats. So we need 24 bags. I think we're running out of time here, Indy.
No, I think we've still got about 6 minutes or so.
So we've still got a little bit of time. Okay,
Yeah,
so we
a little
need
bit of
24 bags. Let's see if we can get through the next part of the question about our cats. So if 1 2 kilogram bag Indy, do you want to take it for a second so I can get a
Of
sip of
course.
water?
Mindsetters, apparently it's hailing outside even. I mean, I can't tell because I'm sitting inside. So I hope that you all staying safe and warm inside. Guys, thank you so much for watching this awesome lesson and for chatting to us on the page. Guys, if there is anything that Hayley has gone through that you don't understand, let us know on the page and we will get back to you. And Hayley, I think you're feeling a bit better, so let's get straight back to the lesson.
Thanks for that, Indy. Right, so if 1 2-kilogram bag of cat food costs 32 Rand 65, how much will it cost to feed the 4 cats for 30 days? Well, now we've actually got some form of idea and we're going to use our answer from A. We need 24 bags. And again, I'm going to change. I've got 3 pieces of information because I know that 1 bag costs 32 Rand 65. So now I want to know how much is 24 bags going to cost. Now guys, very often you're going to see this and you're going to go, well, I know exactly what to do. I need to take my 32.65 and I need to multiply it by 24 and that's going to give me my answer. But look at it as a ratio. I'm going from 1 bag to 24. Well, what do I do there? I times by 24. And then I'm going from this price to my new price, which is unknown. So I'm going to times that by 24. And can you see that that's exactly what instinctively sometimes you do? So we need to take 32 Rand 65 and times by 24 to get our answer. So 24 times by 32 Rand 65 and see how much our cats are going to cost for the month. 783 Rand, and remember it is 60 cents. So let's write that answer in. It was 700, I don't have a pen for that. It was 783 Rand and 60 cents. Now I've got a problem, 2 problems, and I've done them deliberately. 1, we always have a reference. So we need to show that we're actually dealing with Rand. And the second one is that money must have 2 decimal places. So you need to ensure that you actually complete the question by filling in both the unit and 2 decimal places for money. Okay, I think that that's probably a good time to actually, rather than going on to question 3, to just, I'm going to, okay, let's take that back. Let's see if we can carry on with question 3. So, James is going shopping and sees that mincemeat costs 32.99 per kilo. How much will he pay for 250 grams? As this is a prime example where we've got 3 pieces of information. I've got 32.99 per kilo, and I want to know how much is it going to cost for 250 grams. So all I need to do is kind of set it up the way I've been doing so far. So I've got 32 Rand 99 for 1 kilogram. And always look out for these per kind of questions because that means it's the second part of your ratio. So 32.99 for 1 kilo, and now I want to know 250 grams. And I want to know how much that's going to cost me. So there's my question mark. Well, I should have done this in yellow. Okay, we'll just underline it in yellow. So 32.99 for 1 kilogram, and now I've got 250 grams, and I want to know how much that's going to cost me. So again, I'm looking, what do I do from there to there? But there's another problem. There's like bells going off in my head, and what are they? I cannot work in kilograms and grams. So I need to convert one to the other. So I'm going to simply convert my kilogram into grams. And I'm going to say, well, okay, now I can use the yellow. 1 kilogram is actually 1,000 grams. So what do I do from 1,000 to get to 250? And quite clearly, I basically divide it by 4. Okay? And what do I do? 32, I now have to divide that by 4 to get my answer. So 32.99, let's see what our answer is. 32.99 divided by 4 is actually 8 Rand, 2475. I need to round to 2 decimal places because it's money. So it's going to be 8 Rand 25 is what he will pay. 8 Rand 25. So let's get our pink because we were writing in pink. We've got 8 Rand 25. So guys, remember, your ratios and your proportions aren't necessarily hard. There's something that you need to practice. There's something that you need to get used to working with, converting from one value to another. And the more you practice it, actually the better you're going to be. And don't be scared of it. Use your colors, use use your highlighters and see if you've got 3 pieces of information and you're being asked for a 4th, because invariably that's a ratio. Should we see how much bins he can buy for 76.53? You think we got enough time,
Yeah,
Lindy?
I think we do. Let's do it. We'll do it fast. Do it.
Okay,
Just do it.
Right, so we had the price for 1 kilogram of mince, and I'm going to, let's keep it as 1 kilogram now. 1 kilogram of mince cost us 32 Rand 99. Now I'm being asked how much mince I can buy for 76 Rand 53. And I want to know how much mince it is. Well, now I'm looking at, okay, what do I do from 32.99? There's no dot there. There should be a dot there, and there should be a dot there. How do I change 32.99 into 76.53? In the last question, it was quite easy because we just divided by 4. But now I'm actually going to times by the reverse. 76.53 over 32.99. And then I've got that times by 1. So let's quickly do this calculation, see if we can get an answer. What did I say? We've got to take 76 Rand 53 and divide it by 32 Rand 99, and we get 2,31 or 32 kilograms. So put our answer in quickly. What color were we using? 2, so he's buying, whoops, that's not working, 2,31 kilograms. And I'm expecting a number that's bigger. So I'm glad that I got a number that was bigger. What do you think, Indy?
I think that's fantastic. Okay. I know that we've only got about 30 seconds left to the show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We've had a fantastic time. I know that there's been a storm, so the connection goes out and it comes back. There will be reruns of the show. We will put the schedule up on the page as soon as we have it. Guys, don't forget to join us on facebook.com/learnextra. Also at Learn Extra on Twitter. Get chatting to us. And grade 11s, don't forget you're up next. Grade 10s, thank you so much for joining in and have a fab day. Bye guys.